What's going on, folks? Welcome to Parlay. I am your humble host, Mo. Thank you for being here. SNAP benefits have been frozen. People aren't getting the SNAP benefits, right now. It's questionable if they're going to get their SNAP benefits this month. I don't know. Congress is locked and gridlocked, shut down still. And Donald Trump and his administration have frozen SNAP benefits. For a lot of people are going to go hungry. A lot of people are trying to find the means to feed themselves. It's not very, very easy. A lot of people are getting fired from their jobs. A lot of government workers got fired. They got let go. And more to come. Where does that leave people? What's going to happen to people, by and large? And one thing that's very disturbing, because that's not really what disturbs me the most. What disturbs me the most are, Donald Trump supporters. They're laughing about this. They think it's funny that people are losing their SNAP benefits. How is this funny? Really. I see it on social media. People, they'll put that laughing, crying emoji on there, talking about, people are not going to get, their SNAP benefits this month. I guess you got to go out there and work, right? But that's a small subset of people that are abusing SNAP benefits, that have abused government subsidies. A small subset of people, but the vast majority of people need those. They're retirees, people who are receiving Social Security benefits, people also who are disabled and legitimately and clinically disabled. People are not going to be receiving their SNAP benefits this month, at least for the time being. Hopefully something happens. But I find it very disturbing that people are celebrating this and they're laughing about it. They think it's funny about what Donald Trump is doing. And really, they're not blaming Donald Trump. They're blaming Congress. They're blaming the Democrats for not taking a really bad deal that's going to remove health care from a lot of people. I don't see this as a funny issue. I don't see this amusing. I really don't. And for you to sit there and laugh about it and say, well, that serves them right. One day you're going to be dependent on government subsidies. A lot of people are. That's my cat rummaging through my closet. But a lot of people are going to be left out in the cold. Where is it going to leave them? I see so many other people getting put out onto the street. So many people that I wouldn't otherwise see become homeless. I saw a young girl today, a young lady today that was homeless, and I gave her some money. And I really can't believe that people are thinking that this administration is justified in doing things like this. Tearing down the east wing of the White House to build a ballroom. And a lot of people saying, yeah, but that's not going to be used with government money. You're not going to pay for it. The billionaires are going to pay for it, right? They don't do this for nothing. Billionaires aren't going to pay for a ballroom for nothing. Somebody's going to pay the price, okay? Somebody will pay the price. The question is who? Well, who usually pays the price? The regular people like you and me. Those are the people that pay the price. See, a lot of things that this guy does, this Donald Trump does, is grease his palm. So it could be that indirectly you're going to pay for it. And usually that's the case. I don't think enough people are asking the right questions. And, when people don't ask the right questions and they say things like, well, you just got to trust the process. You got to trust the plan. Donald Trump is playing 4D chess. No, he's not. No, he's not. This guy's a billionaire. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about you. And the people that he put in place in his administration, they don't care about you either. They're more concerned with, consolidation of power. That's why they're getting rid of all the bureaucracy in the government, so they have unchecked power. And this is disturbing. And it should disturb a lot of people. No longer, guys, and I've talked about it before, No longer can we just keep on doing the same things that we used to be able to do and be comfortable like we used to be able to be comfortable with. No, we've got to change our lives around, and we have to remove ourselves from any sphere of influence that the government has on us and big corporations. So what does that really mean? That what that means is what I've been saying all along, that we have to change our life, fundamentally change our lives. And I mean by being self-reliant, and not just self-reliant and be able to procure a job and or be able to create our own job and be entrepreneurs. And I think that's a very big necessity for a lot of people now moving forward, ever than it was before. It used to be something that was a want. Well, I want to become an entrepreneur. I think in a lot of ways we at least have to be part-time entrepreneurs and be able to control our own lives in that way. But not just that, it goes further than that. I think that we fundamentally have to change the way we live our lives at the most fundamental level, is by removing ourselves from all this technology as much as possible. Yeah, you can still have your phone, you can still have, internet, but I'm talking about electricity, I'm talking about water, I'm talking about, gas and things like this, and using alternative ways of living our lives. And more people, I think, are going to be living off the grid. They're going to live off the grid as much as possible. Now they're going to have to still plug into some source of power, and maybe they will have power, but they'll charge their power banks. And then once they charge their power banks, they'll be able to plug in their appliances and then rotate their power banks, because I think it's going to save a lot of money in time. And also finding alternative ways of travel. I think more and more people are going to be shuttling. They're going to be shuttling work. They're going to be doing that, ride share type of thing. I think a lot of people are going to be using more wood and natural materials to, cook their food and things like that. And also hot plates. Utilizing, portable power banks, as well as portable solar panels, as well as trying to find other means of power by way of magnetism, using magnets and things like that. But that's probably later on down the road. We are very resourceful people. People are very resourceful, and it's pretty profound at what we can accomplish in life. But we're going to start having to think out of the box, okay? Out of the box, and really minimize our exposure to these big utility conglomerates, and being able to grow our own food, really grow our own food. And that means your fruits and vegetables and things of that nature. Also raising chickens, also having, goats, and being able to, have goat milk, or, cow milk and things like that. Goat milk, I like goat milk. I drink goat milk. I don't drink cow milk. I think goat milk is very good. But we're going to be finding alternative ways of feeding ourselves, of housing ourselves. I think, small houses, and buying a plot of land for maybe 10 or 11,000, a small plot of land, maybe an acre or a half acre, and put our own little tiny house on there. These types of things that are going to be able to sustain ourselves for the long term, okay? Because we can't be relying on employers to live our lives. And I think that a lot more people that are retiring, that are going to collect Social Security or even a government pension, if you're able to do that. I was fortunate enough to live in a time where still a government pension was something that you could rely on. Now you cannot rely on that, and that's disturbing. Also, healthcare. Healthcare is astronomically expensive, and more people are going to lose access to that health insurance, corporate healthcare. And I never really believed in that myself. I think a single payer system is a better system. Of course, it has its flaws, like the time frame of going to see a doctor. But then again, if you can't see a doctor, but then you can see a doctor, but you have to wait, what's the alternative here? There's no easy solution to it. Okay. I've lived in countries where it was a single payer system and the healthcare was pretty good. I would say it was top notch. It was state of the art equipment that they were utilizing. And, in the Netherlands, in the UK, I was able to access healthcare, and it was pretty dang good. it was really, it was, I would say, preventive healthcare. And I thought that was crazy. I really couldn't wrap my head around it when I was receiving preventive healthcare. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, golly, they're giving me all kinds of different things. They're not just trying to shove medication my way. They're trying to actually correct my problem. They're saying, look, you have to exercise, you have to eat right. But eating right over there in the Netherlands was far more easier than it was here because the food was pure and it was fresh. All I had to do was go down to the market and buy my produce, buy my fruits and vegetables, buy a little meat and some bread, and I would buy by the kilo, and I would go down there with 20 euro, or at the time maybe 40 or 50 gulden or gilde, and buy all my produce, at the time, and it was really good. It was really good stuff, and I ate really well when I lived in the Netherlands. Um, but here in the United States, people don't have access to healthy foods. It's all processed crap and garbage. And a lot of these places that, accept SNAP, that accept these food stamps, and also WIC programs that accept WIC, and you see WIC approved, and it's not the best quality food. It's kind of subpar, and absolutely subpar when you compare it to European standards, which have and fall under food purity acts. Like when I lived in Germany, the food was very, very good, and it was very nutrient dense. Fruits and vegetables, and also meat, was very nutrient dense, and I didn't really have to eat a lot. And I did eat a lot because I was in my 20s. So when I came back to the United States and I ate the same type of foods, I gained weight. I gained a lot of weight, and at the time I was in the army, and I really had to lock down on that, and I had to scale back on what I ate. And then I switched to more fresh foods, and I was able to lose weight. But I did get taped, and I did fail my tape at one point, and I had remedial PT, they called it. And I mean, I could pass my PT test, no problem. I passed it with flying colors, but you still get taped. And that I failed the tape, I had to lock down on myself. I wasn't, too far overweight. I was just a few pounds overweight at the time, but still, I I was over that weight limit, being that young, being 25, 26 years old. But I to get back at laughing at people not being able to access food is egregious and is disgusting. I find it absolutely disgusting and very, very, very repulsive. And shame on you if you laugh at the fact that people are going to go hungry, especially here in the United States in November when Thanksgiving is right down around the corner. People are not going to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving, while these people at the White House and Donald Trump and his administration are going to be suckling on the finest food, and they're going to have an abundance of food. They already did have a dinner, a lunch, and discuss the government shutdown and SNAP uh, being held, being kind of cut off from the people and the recipients that need food. Okay, they need it. And I know a lot of elderly people, and I also know a lot of disabled people, and some of my brothers and sisters who are disabled veterans that are going to go hungry this month, are going to have to be in the bread lines, in the soup kitchens, that kind of thing. That's not a funny thing. And because of the few people who abuse these benefits, you have a lot of people saying, well, I guess you're not going to receive your SNAP benefits. Well, be happy that you're going to have a full dinner table and you're going to be able to eat, and that, you're going to be able to sleep at night, and you're going to sleep very nice at night knowing that you have food on your table and a roof over your head. Okay? Be happy about that, right? But if you don't have some sort of remorse for those who aren't able to enjoy that, and you laugh at that and think that's funny, well, then shame on you. Your day is coming, okay? And when that day comes, you're going to be humbled. And I hope you have a change of heart at that point, because I don't think it's funny at all. I don't think it's funny at all. I've seen hungry children, and it's not funny. It's not funny, and I didn't think it was very humorous. And all my other brothers and sisters who are there deployed with me in these countries where these children go hungry, like Bosnia, Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq. When I deployed to these places and I saw these people go hungry, I didn't think it was funny at all. And if you think this thing is going to be funny when it's on your soil, when it's in your country, and that's funny, shame on you. Shame on you. And you support somebody like this that is doing such a thing and blaming it on the other party. Look, I don't align with Democrats or Republicans. I consider myself a American national that loves this country so much that I was willing to go to war, fight, and die for my country and the people there in it. Those are the people that I went to defend. Those are the people that I went over there in foreign wars to defend them, to do it so they didn't have to do it. I went ahead and did it. And to think that we have people here in the United States that think it's funny, these Donald Trump supporters that think it's funny that people are going to go hungry, they're going to go homeless, they're not going to be able to receive medical care. I think it's egregious. I think, in this day and age, and we're supposed to be the richest country on earth, and yet so many people don't have access to vital, support systems and vital sustenance that they should have access to in an abundance of. How are we so callous where we're going to look at somebody going hungry and think that's funny? I'm sorry. It riles me up. It spools me up. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. When I see a young lady who sleeps under the bridge, when I see abuelita who sleeps under the bridge, that's granny in Spanish. That's slang for granny. When I see them, when you see abuelita homeless, there is a problem. There's a big problem in the United States. A big problem. And don't think that you're not a paycheck or 2 or 3 or 4 away from being in that exact same position. You're mistaken. You are sadly mistaken. It's not funny. And you should be ashamed of yourself. That's all I have. I hope everybody understands that we do have a problem in the United States and it needs to be fixed. And we need to hold these politicians accountable for what they're doing to people. Full stop. And we need to speak out against this. And if people protest, let them protest. Don't shame them for protesting. Because they're exercising their right to do so, their constitutional right to do so. There's nothing wrong with that. And when the day that you go protest out on the streets because you're affected later on down the road by what some government official did, I would hope that you have a little bit more respect for those who do. Because I'm going to have respect for you that goes out there and, commits an act of bravery by standing up for American people against this, fascist government or whatever it might be at the time, because it is moving in that direction of fascism, and that scares me. I've been to other countries around the world. I lived in other countries, and they would not tolerate this kind of behavior from any politician. They would be out in the streets protesting and demanding a change. I don't see that happening here. But what we don't need to do is loot and do all kinds of other things like that and riot. That doesn't send the right message. What we need to do is peacefully assemble and call these politicians out for their bad behavior, because that's what it is. It's bad behavior in every way. But I hope you find in your heart to bless somebody that's not going through a good time, that's having problems, that's going through the trouble. that this has to offer. I hope you bless somebody. I hope you find in your heart to help somebody out, to give a helping hand, and lift somebody up today. I'll do whatever I can to do it on my end. But that's the way that you affect change, is by love and respect and care for other people. Not hatred, not contempt, and not by laughing at them. That's all I got today. You guys have a good day. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let's get this out there. Let's keep on railing against the machine, because they don't care about you. We care about each other. People care about people. People take care of people. That's at least what people used to say in Macedonia when I was down there. Some of my friends in Macedonia used to say, people take care of people. And they did. They took care of each other, and they took good care of each other. They made sure that everybody had a plate of food to eat. And that should say something. That should send a message to you, because it's a serious thing. And I don't like to see when elderly families and children go hungry. That's where I draw the line. And this is why I'm putting this video out there. You have a blessed day. And all of you that are thinking on the same wavelength as I am, let's keep on fighting this. Let's keep on calling this out for what it is, and not stop until we see a change. And even then, keep on holding them accountable. All right. Peace.